So here I was, expecting quite a bit of coverage in the mainstream finance and technology media on Elon Musk's epic announcement of the joint project between Tesla, XAI and SpaceX, known as Terafab. And after scraping the bottom of the barrel and asking Grok for some help, I found a lot of tumbleweeds, and the only network with any meaningful coverage whatsoever, Bloomberg.
The idea that SpaceX is undertaking Terafab with Tesla at unprecedented scale to secure compute here on Earth and in orbit, your reaction to that, Karen?
Well, my reaction is they've actually been thinking about this for a long time. So Lauren just talked about the FCC application for 1 million sats in space. But if you rewind back to 2022, they had filed a patent around getting computing resources to sats in space as well. So I think this is something that Elon and his team have been thinking about for a long time, frankly, at least since the post-ChatGPT moment. I also think conceptually it makes a lot of sense. So Lauren just talked about harnessing power in sun-synchronous orbit. But the other constraints on AI data centers here on Earth are not just power, it's land, it's permitting, it's getting contractors like electricians to put these boxes together.
Damn, I'm impressed. Karen clearly knows what she's talking about. And not just at a surface level, but really understands this stuff. It's rare that I see a guest in the finance media talking Tesla or any of these related projects to the Musk empire. So clearly informed, competent, and really grasping this. Her last point there, it's not just the limited land, power on Earth, blah, blah, blah. The point on electricians, I believe it was Chamath Palihapitiya recently, maybe a month or so ago, disclosed on a podcast that on an AI-related project he was involved in, they were paying electricians more than $500,000 per year. That's how in demand they are. Getting these AI data centers up and running on Earth is becoming increasingly more expensive, not just in terms of time, but cost. This is only going to worsen. There is a limit to how much land is available. There are constraints on how quickly permitting can be done, construction, getting your energy source, but also connecting power. Again, electrician, $500,000 a year. Bruh. The bottom line is that space-based AI, data centers in space, has to happen. Not only that, but it will happen. Not just because of the constraints on Earth, but because over the long term, with launch costs continuing to come down, it will be the most cost-effective way to do AI training and inference.
And those constraints don't exist in space. And so I think conceptually, it makes a ton of sense to be thinking about in the longer term data centers in space. The question, of course, becomes what you were just talking about, is it economical? And frankly, what we've been watching for as investors is Starship. And
Right.
Starship Flight 12 should happen in April. They're going to be launching their Gen 3 of the ship, which will carry up to 100 tons of payload. And as a reminder, the plan is for Starship to be fully reusable in the future. And if it's fully reusable, ultimately the cost of launching it could come down very, very meaningfully, which would mean launching the AI data centers into space, those payloads, could make that whole concept very economical.
She's hit the nail on the head. I got to say, it's official. Karen is the most competent, well-informed person I've ever heard on Doomberg talking about any Musk-related company or project. Hands down. Very impressed.
Data centers into space, those payloads, could make that whole concept very economical.
Karen, you and your team at Fidelity, what research and modeling have you done for the factors and the point at which orbital data center becomes profitable? A lot of people, when I said you were coming on the program, wanted to know if you've been shown any evidence by SpaceX about the viability of an orbital data center this decade, but many people measure it in the dollar per kilogram equation when it comes to Starship.
Absolutely. We do measure it in dollar per kilogram. And again, as I mentioned, it really comes down to how quickly Starship can be up and fully reusable. So as a reminder, Falcon 9, they just reused the booster, the first stage. And Starship will be both the booster and the ship. They've now successfully caught the booster of Starship 3 times at the Tower Catch. People have probably seen that, and they've had successful atmospheric reentry of the ship as well, but have not yet caught that. The other thing that they haven't done as of yet is they actually haven't dispensed of any actual payloads into space as of yet. They've tested out the PEZ door, which opens up to let the payloads out, but actual payloads have not been put out into space. So those are the milestones that we're really following. But you can bet there is an Excel spreadsheet at Fidelity that measures the cost per kilowatt, and when we believe this will become economical.
Oh, there's going to be people who really want to see that Excel spreadsheet, Karen. In particular, those who look more cynical on the outlook of the economy and the economic pros and cons of this. For example, Jim Chanos, well known for perhaps...
Are you fucking kidding me? They're about to quote Dim Chanos. Is this a smirk? I notice a wry smirk appearing on Karen's face. Let me guess. Now, I don't know what Dim has actually said, but here's my guess. It will be some combination of this is ridiculous and it will never happen. Elon always overpromises and never delivers. This is just an attempt to pump the stock price for the SpaceX IPO. Typical Elon. For those who don't know, Mr. Chanos was essentially short Tesla stock for the better part of a decade. As a result, the man had his reputation and financial anus absolutely ruined. But he just can't let go of it. Elon bad, Elon dumb, Elon fraud, Elon liar. Everything to do with Elon is bad, doomed, will fail, also overvalued. I've got to say, by the way, the contrast, Karen here again, I've been praising. She's so well informed and really understands it. And now you have a potential quote from one of the truly most retarded, utterly deranged Elon haters on planet Earth. This will be good.
Betting against certain key themes, but he asks in a post in particular how much 1 gigawatt data center in space would save in terms of power costs versus 1 gigawatt terrestrial data center. Can you push out where you think it could go at least?
Wait. He's not even trolling. He's just asking a question. This can't be Jim. What's gotten into him?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think, again, we're talking not this year, not next year. We are talking about several years out, but it could move down the cost pretty meaningfully. I won't give you an exact dollar amount, but we do believe it could be pretty material.
In the here and now, what we're all looking for materially is up to a $1.25 trillion valuation if SpaceX does indeed go public.
No. Let me just correct that. Unless the shit hits the fan, World War III, another scamdemic, and people actually fall for it again. Something like that. Like a world-shakingly negative event that just absolutely nukes the stock market, investor confidence, IPOs. In the non-World War III like scenario, there's no fucking way, in my opinion, SpaceX IPOs at a mere 1.25 trillion. Now, I could be wrong. It does happen from time to time. Here's my bet. It will be likely closer to 2 trillion than it is 1.25. High risk prediction, I know, because anything could happen. But you have to remember, SpaceX isn't just a launch company plus Starlink, the money printer of money printers plus. Starlink, by the way, isn't just home broadband, but also now cell service. Consistent, reliable, high margin revenue with crazy growth. It also includes XAI, which also includes, within XAI, you've got Grok, language, image and video generation. You have the Macro Hard project. You have a publicly announced video gaming studio. I could continue. I could go on and on and on. It also includes the entire X platform, which is currently in the process of launching X Money, going after the global financial services industry, which represents roughly 1/3 of the entire global economy today. X is killing it. XAI is killing it. SpaceX killing it. And now we have the announcement of the Terafab project. X alone could grow to be a multi-trillion-dollar company. Not tomorrow, but long-term, especially getting into global financial services. XAI inevitably on its way to a multi-trillion-dollar valuation over the long term. So too SpaceX, just on the back of Starlink. Never mind what I continue to call, until I hear a better name, Starthink, the space-based AI. Much more likely to be around that $2 trillion mark than it is in the low ones. In my totally uninformed midwit content creator opinion.
Is up to a $1.25 trillion valuation if SpaceX does indeed go public. How realistic do you think that is at the moment? What momentum do we need to see? Because at the moment, we're all sort of at the behest of the markets.
We are at the behest of the market. Obviously, the markets are feeling quite good this morning as well. But I think it's important to remember that SpaceX has a lot going for it right now. When we first invested at Fidelity back in 2015 in SpaceX, they had done 13 Falcon 9 launches to date. Today, they launch every other day. They're putting up somewhere between 80 to 90% of the world's payload. One company. When we first invested, they didn't have a single Starlink satellite nor Starlink sub. Today, they have 10 million subscribers across the globe. Obviously, there are ambitions to do more on the wireless carrier front. So SpaceX has a lot going for it. And of course, the cherry on top would be the future of orbital data centers.
Right. Incredible capital efficiency, right? $12 billion raised in its lifetime. And you think about what it's done with that. The next thing is, what's a scenario where SpaceX merges with Tesla, and why?
That scenario is called just a matter of time. I mean, it's so obviously the eventual outcome. There's no world in which this doesn't happen. Just a matter of time. The synergies are so obvious. The Terafab project, biggest hint so far, the little announcement, the logo for Terafab underneath has the logos of SpaceX, XAI, and Tesla because all three companies are closely collaborating on this effort. I strongly suspect, however, given the fact that Musk doesn't want to fuck Tesla shareholders, ideal scenario, this wouldn't happen until Tesla's current market capitalization of a mere not even 1.2 trillion as I record this, is a distant memory, having surged on the back of, autonomy is happening, robotaxis are happening, it is generalized, they are scaling rapidly, no one can compete, holy shit. The reason's simple right now. Let's say IPO for SpaceX happens immediately. It's $2 trillion because it's a nice round number. And as I record this, Tesla's 1.2. Final valuation of a merged entity, 2 trillion plus 1.2 trillion is 3.2 trillion. Tesla shareholders now own a slice of SpaceX, but they have been massively diluted. Much better for a potential merger to occur, with Tesla's valuation meaningfully higher not only than where it is today, but in the multi-trillion dollar range. Far less dilution. Although, it is possible that SpaceX IPOs and its valuation just continues to, no pun intended, head to the moon. Tesla forever chasing, but never even matching, let alone exceeding, in which case, wouldn't make much of a difference. Just remember though, Elon Musk CEO Performance Award for 2025. Final tranche, Tesla is a roughly $8.5 trillion valuation. That's what Musk will be aiming for. And if he's thinking, I can get this company to not far off $10 trillion, and it's currently not far off $1 trillion, it'd kind of be fucking Tesla investors over to merge the two companies if a few years from now Tesla could be 3, 4, 5 on its way to $8+ trillion.
Why? Because that's the reaction that people have had since Terafab was announced over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, obviously people have been talking about that possibility for a little while, and SpaceX acquiring XAI certainly catalyzed those conversations even further. And I think Elon is, kind of putting his cards on the table, if you will, as it relates to his ambitions to vertically integrate the ability to be a chip manufacturer, as difficult as it may be, but also in putting in aggregate data centers. Remember, he's done it here on Earth. Colossus 1 and Colossus 2, he did in record time, Colossus 1 specifically, and very large GPU clusters. And so from an engineering perspective, I think he knows how to do it. I'm not trying to be flippant about how difficult some of these things are, but he is an expert at vertically integrating companies.
Maybe I'm reading into that response a little too much, but that's the kind of response that I might have if I either knew or more likely strongly suspected something, but for potential compliance or professional reputation reasons didn't want to speak in hyperbole or straight out come and say, obviously it's going to fucking happen, bro. The best we got there is, well, he is an expert at vertically integrating things. So if you read between the lines there, I think Karen might be also of the strong opinion that it's only a matter of time. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has been part of my daily health protocol for almost half a decade. It's packed full of vitamins and minerals and helps me fill in nutritional gaps while supporting energy, digestion, and immune function. It also has prebiotics and probiotics to promote gut health. I take my health very seriously, and so should you. Try AG1 today by visiting drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment and enjoy a free welcome kit with vitamin D3 plus K2 and AG1 travel packs. That's drinkag1.com/SMR.